Hey everyone, I'm John, and today I'm out here in the forest ecosystem of northern New Jersey searching for wildlife. This is one of my favorite habitats to explore, simply because it's so incredibly biodiverse. I can come out here any time of year and find a plethora of amazing creatures. The fascinating thing about these creatures, and the many plants that live here, is that they're all incredibly important to the sustainability of this ecosystem. In a way, one species can't really survive without the other. But that begs the question, how important is just one species? Well, today, I'm going to be walking around here. We're going to be searching for all sorts of species, and we're going to find out how important each one is, and the roles they play in this ecosystem. So be sure to subscribe, and I hope you enjoy. An ecosystem is defined as a community of living things interacting within their environment. Each organism in the ecosystem plays a specific role known as a niche. There are producers, consumers, and decomposers. In nearly every ecosystem, life begins with the sun, and the forest is no exception. Plant life, like this oak tree, will take in sunlight and convert it into energy through photosynthesis. Trees are the producers of the forest ecosystem. For the creatures who call the forest home, a tree is many things: a source of food, shelter, a watchtower, territory marker, and sometimes even a source of water. While exploring, I spot a large bird up in a tree. This is the pileated woodpecker, the largest of its kind in North America. The pileated woodpecker can be identified by its large black and white body, red pointy head crest, and loud iconic call. These birds range across eastern North America and are found in various forest ecosystems, such as deciduous, coniferous, and a mix of both. Woodpeckers have various adaptations that allow them to live their entire lives in the trees, and it is here where they will find food, water, and shelter. Woodpeckers create cavities in trees where they will raise their young. When abandoned, these cavities will become home for a wide variety of creatures, from bluebirds to squirrels to raccoons. Trees also greatly benefit from woodpeckers. These birds will rid the lofty plants of parasitic insects. The woodpecker is what's known as a keystone species of the forest ecosystem. Without them, many critters and birds would be without a home, and parasitic insects would run amok, slowly destroying the forest ecosystem. Another slightly more common woodpecker species here is the red-bellied woodpecker. This red belly is making a home in a tree. Nesting up high in tree cavities prevents predators from accessing and raiding the nest. Red-bellied woodpeckers can be identified by their checkered back, flat red cap, and loud call. As I head deeper into the woods, I'm able to spot a rarer woodpecker, the yellow-bellied sapsucker, a new species for me. These birds are unique amongst woodpeckers due to the fact that many of them migrate south. As the name implies, sapsuckers feed on tree sap, as well as the insects which are drawn to the sap. Scurrying along the forest floor, we find another keystone species, the squirrel. Gray squirrels are well known for their craftiness and love of acorns. Back in October, the oak trees shed hundreds of acorns. When this happens, nearly every creature in the forest begins to feast, fattening up for the cold winter months. While the squirrels may eat a few acorns during this time, the majority of them will be cached away, either in a tree cavity or buried underground. Despite popular belief, squirrels don't hibernate. They are active year-round and survive harsh winters by feeding on their stored-away food supply. Using an excellent sense of smell, this squirrel finds and digs up one of his buried acorns and feeds on it high up in the trees. But the squirrels won't eat every acorn they bury. Acorns left forgotten underground will grow in the spring and eventually become the next generation of oak tree. While incredibly common, whitetails still fascinate me, and I always enjoy getting to observe them in the wild. White-tailed deer are a consumer and cannot produce their own energy. This means they must feed on plant life. Whitetails will feed on anything they can find, including poison ivy. Every spring, white-tailed bucks shed their antlers due to a decrease in testosterone. Shed antlers can make for a cool souvenir, but they also are utilized by squirrels and chipmunks who chew on them to obtain calcium. In a month or two, the antlers will begin to regrow, coated in a thick layer of velvet. On a wet, chilly early spring night, most people would stay indoors. But venturing out in these conditions can provide you with the opportunity to see a variety of fascinating amphibians. After the first warm rain of the season, frogs, toads, newts, and salamanders all embark on a journey to the vernal pool, a small pocket of water made up of melted snow, rain, and runoff. Funny enough, one of the loudest creatures here in the vernal pool also happens to be the smallest. The spring peeper is among the first signs of spring. These miniature tree frogs can be found in vernal pools and other forested wetlands across eastern North America. Their call is surprisingly loud considering their size. They grow to only be about an inch in length and weigh in at 0.18 ounces. Amphibians are critical members of the forest ecosystem, acting as both predator and prey for hundreds of creatures. They feed on a variety of invertebrates, including mosquitoes, keeping their populations in check. Without the vernal pool, amphibians could no longer reproduce, and the forest would be overrun with insects, and an overabundance of any species can drastically alter any ecosystem. While they may seem meaningless to some, these little amphibians, like the woodpecker, are a keystone species. One reason we often don't see many forest residents is because they lead nocturnal lifestyles. One such animal is the North American porcupine, our country's second largest rodent. Porcupines live in forests throughout the north, even here in New Jersey. The porcupine's diet consists of plant materials, including grasses, berries, roots, leaves, and tree bark. During harsh winter, they can cause severe damage and sometimes death to trees. Due to their iconic defense mechanism, porcupines have few predators aside from man and the incredibly elusive fisher. Because of this, porcupines only have about one baby per year, a natural way of keeping them from overpopulating. As many wildlife watchers know, dawn is one of the best times to get out and search for wildlife. Nocturnal creatures are just finishing up their day, while diurnal creatures are beginning theirs. The red fox is a common, yet elusive forest resident, so spotting a glimpse of one napping is a truly special moment. Foxes, like many predators, have a bad reputation, seen as sly, sneaky, and sometimes even evil creatures. And while the fox is an intelligent predator, they also have a loving side that most people don't know about. Last year I left out a trail camera at a fox den to try and observe some of their behaviors. What I found was truly fascinating and kind of precious. Foxes are actually not as solitary as I thought. I found that both parents work together to raise their young. And not only that, they seem to have a special bond together. You can see the kits playing with their parents and getting excited at the parents' return to the den. I also spot some other creatures, such as a groundhog, white-tailed deer, and a coyote. Usually, white-tailed deer are incredibly cautious. However, this one doesn't seem to mind the presence of the fox. The vulture gets a bad image in the public eye, seen as filthy, disease-carrying vermin. In reality, these birds are of extreme importance, acting as nature's cleanup crew. Due to their acidic stomachs, they can eat things most other animals can't. A buck carcass makes for a perfect meal. When the vultures are through, another hated creature works on the carcass. Maggots inhabit the body, feeding on the leftovers. With the help of these creatures, the dead deer can help fuel new life. Plant life is sustained from the carcass's nutrients, providing more food for new generations of whitetail, porcupine, and other herbivores. It's easy for us to think that the world would be better off without uglier or meaner animals like the vulture or fox. In reality, all of these species are critical to the sustainability of the ecosystem. You can't have one species without the other, producer without consumer, or prey without predator. We often forget that we are in fact a part of this world, and anything we do will make a difference. The absence of big predators in the Northeast has left a vacant niche. While at times controversial, hunting by humans has been beneficial to many ecosystems. Hunters act as predators, keeping prey populations down. Most hunters are also conservationists, helping to preserve wild lands. It's our responsibility to ensure that these ecosystems and the various species that inhabit them are preserved and protected for future generations. I hope now you have a new appreciation for this incredible ecosystem and the various species that call it home. Next time you head out into the woods, be sure to take a closer look at your surroundings. You may be surprised at what you'll find. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and comment any wildlife questions you may have, and I'll see you next time.